Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Eccles Alumni Forum. Thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. We are thrilled to have you here. My name is Lindsey Smith, and I am an alumni specialist in the Alumni Relations and Development Office here at the David Eccles School of Business. Today, we will be discussing influencer marketing with an incredible panel of alumni and experts in the marketing industry. We are going to hear from both sides of the spectrum today and learn more about what it's like not only to be an influencer in this constantly evolving landscape, and on the flip side, what it's like to work with influencers from a brand or an agency perspective. Our moderator for today's event is Leanna Kennard. Leanna is currently Vice President of Marketing at Buckner Insurance. In her role, she manages the firm's brand communications and marketing strategy for 7 offices around the nation. Leanna is a proud graduate of the David Eccles School of Business and is currently pursuing her master's degree in general management from Harvard University. Throughout today's event, please utilize the chat function on the right-hand side of your browser to submit questions to our panelists. We're going to try to get through as many of those as we can through today's Q&A. Leanna, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce the rest of our panelists.
Can you guys see me okay or hear me okay? We are super excited to start this talk. It's something I'm super interested in. And without further ado, I'll introduce all of our panelists so you can meet all of them. First, we'll start with Sam. And Sam is from a small town outside of Dallas, Texas. He is an influencer and performance marketing manager at Branded Entertainment Network, or BEN. Sam executes large-scale awareness and performance campaigns. He has spent the last year running multi-million-dollar campaigns and spearheading a new division focused on live content and working with brands such as HelloFresh. Sam entered into influencer marketing back in 2012, which was probably not even on our radars back then. And he's worked in cities such as Austin, New York City, and now Salt Lake City. What's really cool is Sam started a YouTube channel and grew it to over 200,000 subscribers before deciding to go back into school, where he got a Bachelor of Business Administration and Marketing from Texas Tech University. Sam has a serious passion for this line of work, and he loves helping companies get involved. So welcome, Sam. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. Really happy to be here.
Next, we have Fallon, and Fallon's originally from Viva Las Vegas, but now is in Utah. She currently is a performance partnership marketing specialist at Backcountry. So right now she manages affiliate, podcast, and influencer channels for Backcountry, Competitive Cyclist, and Steep and Cheap. Fallon has a really impressive resume. She has worked with companies such as L'Oreal, where she managed their Paris hair care and hair color line and the marketing with that, as well as companies like Columbia Sportswear, where she created and launched their entire influencer program and worked with brands such as Sorel, Prana, and Mountain Hardwear brands. She is also a fellow graduate of the David Eccles School of Business, where she graduated in 2019. And she was a member of the Business Scholar Program, a career service ambassador, and an Eccles ambassador. So welcome, Fallon.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we have Lindsey Eldridge. Lindsey is a certified personal trainer, a fitness nutrition specialist, and also the co-owner of Big Mountain Barbell. So she first started her online company, Fit Bliss Fitness, in 2012, and then she opened her second business, Big Mountain Barbell, in 2014. So Lindsey graduated with a Bachelor's of Integrated Studies in English, Communication, and Political Science in 2012, and also has a certificate in Nutrition and Fitness from the National Academy of Sports Medicine. But on top of all of that, she also is pursuing her master's in nutrition at the University of Utah. So through all of her organic social media marketing and referrals, Fit Bliss has helped thousands of women overcome chronic dieting, suboptimal training methods, and low self-esteem, and helping them change their bodies and changing lives. So Lindsey, we are so excited. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thanks for being
Okay,
here.
so we have a couple of questions. We are going to open it up to Q&A at the end, like Lindsey said, to just throw that in the chat. But we're going to kind of first pull back a little bit and talk about really what is influencer marketing? How does it work? How do companies implement it? And so Fallon, I think we're going to throw this one to you and tell us all the things that we need to know.
Yeah, I'm happy to take this one. So influencer marketing is very unique, and I will speak to it specifically through the eyes of Backcountry and how we work with it. So at Backcountry, influencer marketing is categorized as a performance marketing channel, and it operates within the affiliate channel. And so affiliate channel is something most people haven't heard of unless you're in the B2C space. And so what that is the use of third-party publishers to promote your brand using commissionable links. So if you've ever Googled a coupon code for X brand, and then it takes you to a different site like Brad Steele's, Retail Me Not, that is an affiliate partner. You will also see them with Ebates and Rakuten. And then there's also a subset within affiliate marketing called content partners, which is where influencer marketing has spun off from. So content partners in general are BuzzFeed, Ski Magazine, Forbes, things like that, where if you read one of their articles organically and they link to a specific brand or product, they're generating commissions from those links in a rev share manner. So within the affiliate model for influencers, they operate on a hybrid spend model in a sense that you're paying flat spend to secure placements, but they are also generating commission with anything purchased using the links within those placements. And so with influencers at Backcountry, we work with them in two different ways to kind of optimize on two different objectives. The first objective that we use is the performance side, which is more lower funnel, sales driven. So with that, commonly it's seen as the mommy bloggers and the fashion focused people on your Instagrams that are known for the swipe ups. And those mainly come via different agencies and influencer platforms. And the main KPIs within those are, again, sales and conversion. And what's interesting about these within the Backcountry model is that they're essentially the cash cow for the channel. They're the ones driving the primary revenue within the channel. And for instance, a few weeks ago, we had one of our mommy bloggers post about a North Face kids jacket, which in a normal week, we would see maybe $1,000 in sales, but in a single day, we saw 23,000 in sales. So it's a big driver for whatever they pick up organically or whatever is sponsored through them. And then the other side that we use influencer marketing for is the awareness side, which is more of a brand play, upper funnel. And at Backcountry, those are our partnerships with our athletes, social activists, and different people within the outdoor community. And the reason that we work with them, as well as our more sales drivers, fashion focus, is what they do in terms of personifying the brand and spreading general awareness. But also we use them for imagery within our content. So a lot of times, like on site, we'll have different email campaigns or other campaigns that use active imagery, which our photo team doesn't have the capacity or budget to use their own resources to create. So we outsource in a sense to our amazing influencers that are able to create content that then we reshare, also generating more awareness on their side of what Backcountry can bring to them. So it's a very unique way of working with influencers, and all the companies I've been at have different reasons as to why they come to this type of marketing. But overall, with how it works, implementation varies again by brand. So there's an agency side if brands work with a specific agency. There's also an in-house model where the brand specifically is reaching out to these partners. And then again, influencer networks. And Backcountry has worked with all three types of ways. And the process goes the same amongst all, where it begins with finding and securing talent, seeing what really speaks to the brand and what your objectives are. And then next is briefing content. If there's a specific angle that we want influencers to focus on, with Backcountry, a lot of it is seasonality in terms of the sports right now. So we will have bike campaigns, water campaigns, hiking moving forward in the future, and then having them generate that content on their own, sending it back to us to preview, and then getting them live and tracking performance from there.
It seems like there's a lot of work on the back end. I think sometimes when we're online, we might see, oh, look, they're promoting this product, but not knowing the strategy that's behind it. So I guess the second question to segue over is, I want to direct this towards Sam. What are some of the benefits of this new type of marketing, and what are the concerns that come with it?
Sure. I love talking about this stuff. So I would say one of the major benefits of influencer marketing is that you can really get into what I would say hyper-targeted audiences. Just like when you spend on Facebook and your traditional ads, you can actually partner with people who have these great audiences in the niche that you're in. So if you're selling food like HelloFresh, you can partner with people who are streamers even. You can partner with moms and just people that are really busy and need a solution for food. And it's really cool. So I also wrote down that you have to do a lot of research and partner with people that make sense for your brand. The really cool thing about influencer marketing is that you have the opportunity to go viral. Your content can take off. It can get picked up by articles or get onto trending pages. And you can see massive organic lift when this happens. And that generally happens if you go in and do your research and select people that have trust in a space and know what they're talking about. So when people follow a person, they are looking to them for advice generally. And when you can pair with those kinds of people, you see great things happen. And then the flip side of that is that if you don't do your research and you partner with somebody that is more of an awareness play and it's not really making so much sense with your brand, you can actually see that the views will come in really low and the performance just isn't really there. So that would be depending on how much time you want to put in. And whenever I run campaigns, I make sure to do a lot of research on that front. So for example, I run campaigns for Ubisoft, which is a big gaming company, and I was running Assassin's Creed last year. It did extremely well on channels that play single player games because Assassin's Creed is a single player game. And we even got on multiple channels onto the YouTube trending page because there was a lot of keywords going in. So people were already searching for the content, right? And then for the people that we partnered with, we gave them early access and it just shot straight to the top of trending on YouTube. And so we even got more than what we paid for, which is a huge win for the brand. And so it's a really healthy environment when you can partner like that. Whereas when we partnered with people who focus on multiplayer games, first-person shooters, and things like that, it didn't make as much sense. So their videos kind of teetered out, which is just a testament of optimizing and improving for your future campaigns. Another really big benefit of influencer marketing is that you are part of the content. You're not an interruptive ad. You're not a pre-roll. You're not popping up on Google. You can partner with these real influencers with big audiences, and you can be a part of the content. It's really cool when people like Backcountry or Red Bull partner with athletes, like what Fallon was saying, and you're enabling something to happen that can go viral. Like Red Bull will sponsor people to jump off of cliffs with parachutes on and a pair of skis, right? You can't afford that generally unless you've got a sponsor like that. And then people start talking about the stuff. The organic lift is huge. People respect your brand. People share it organically themselves. So just a lot of amazing things that you can do through influencer. And yeah, I could go on about that. Let me talk about a risk. So I've actually started to do live content at my job. We've been seeing absolutely incredible click-through rates for live content on platforms such as Twitch, Instagram Live, even TikTok Live. My click-through rates are averaging 6%, which is absolutely unreal. And I would say it has risk because you can't control live content like you can when you run a Facebook ad, or if you have a piece of content that you can edit. You get what you get live. So if that product comes out with an error, that it's on for the whole world to see. But generally, you don't have these errors, and it comes across extremely authentic to audiences. And this is showing bigger click-through rates, bigger conversion rates, because audiences are really smart, and they can tell when you edit things, and when it comes across live, and you use it live, it's a lot more authentic. Yeah. So anyways, I wanted to segue that into the next question, Liana.
Yes. So thank you. It seems, again, I think the more and more I hear you guys talk about this, it's just so detailed, and there's so much information and data behind it. So I guess our next question I'm going to gear towards Lindsey. What are the specific benefits and challenges? Specifically with you, I know you use a personal platform, and you've done that organically. So how can you grow your business using social media?
I mean, yes, I think it is a completely different ball game if you are a really small company or a startup company just getting started, because I mean, I would love someday to hire Sam and work with Sam. But when you're first getting started, a lot of times entrepreneurs, you have very little budget for marketing. You have very little budget in general. You may be working multiple jobs and actually losing money in your company when you first start out. So something that I've really tried to lean on more so is, and that's been really successful for me, is being my own influencer. So if you're thinking about starting your own company, you're going to have a business page, you're going to have your own personal page, and basically committing to be really consistent with posting every day on your story, on your own page, talking about what you're doing, talking about your message, what you're passionate about. A lot of people, when they're first starting out, they feel guilty or annoying, like talking about their self or their business all the time. But all these other companies, Apple, McDonald's, none of them are feeling insecure about running an ad for the Super Bowl or, for whatever. They are constantly putting it out there. So until you have the budget to pay other people to put it out there for you, being confident and just talking about your message and interacting with those people who are hearing your message. And like if you just have an Instagram page, for example, when people are commenting on your post or asking you questions, interacting with them. When people are messaging you on your story, interacting with them. And then the second thing that's been really helpful for me is really focusing on the community aspect of your company, trying to create avenues up for community through events, Facebook groups, connecting people who enjoy your brand or product. And then something that's very helpful is just, if you are doing an Instagram story, tagging multiple people who already are invested and bought into your brand, because then they're going to be reposting that on their stories and things like that. And once I've had a pool of people, we have about 200 people, for example, in one of our programs. It's called the Lifting Club, where we provide workouts and form feedback. 200 people is enough people that if they're bought into the community, and we can start getting them to organically post on their stories, tag our company, tell their friends about our company, we are able to gain that traction and have it start, moving out onto other people's pages, explore pages, and start learning about us. And then, I think the hardest thing, if you're in my position or a startup position and you don't have a big budget, if you try to go the paid influencer route, it can work, but you're not going to get people with as large of followings, with as large of audience. So I just haven't seen as much returns at this point when you're having to use more of like the micro influencing versus being able to use the budget to pay someone to, like Sam, who has a degree in marketing and knows everything, or not in marketing, but very knowledgeable about the influencing. So yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is just being consistent, becoming trustworthy in your own voice and in your own message and in your own brand, and just not feeling uncomfortable getting it out there. And when you see someone who seems bought in and like they believe in what you're doing, bring them on in an organic way and just start tagging them, posting them, encouraging them to share your business too.
No, I love that. Thank you, Lindsey. And so we kind of talked about this before we went live. We all were kind of chatting before cameras went on, and we kind of talked about trends. So I guess this would be one for each of you. And I'm sorry to put you all on the spot like this, but maybe if you could share what you think the hottest trend is right now, and maybe even on what platform. So we'll start with you, Lindsey, and then we'll go to Sam and then Fallon.
What I'm seeing, especially in just the organic posts and things, is it seems TikTok and Reels are really catching people's attention. If you can create catchy content there that people are going to share, they're going to like, people are going into those explore pages and watching those videos. They're quick, they're entertaining. And if you can catch their attention, from everything I'm seeing, that's the best thing for organic viewership right now.
Yeah, I'm actually going to touch on something really similar that YouTube is doing right now. YouTube is launching a beta program called YouTube Shorts, where they're pretty much competing with TikTok and IG Reels right now. And you can get a lot of free lift right now because anytime that you use this new feature, YouTube is actually pushing it unorganically to a lot of people. And if it catches on, then they're going to keep pushing it to more and more. And I've seen about 10 channels that I have saved that have millions upon millions of views right now, just purely on these 60 seconds or less videos. And they're horizontal, mostly viewed on mobile. And I really think that YouTube is trying to take over. So we are actually experimenting in this and sponsoring people to create a YouTube short and use that 60-second video to push towards a larger video. So you can actually tell them it's like a twofold. So you got like a little advertisement for the video almost, or you can go the awareness route and do something really cool that you think would go viral with a brand. And then, you know, like, let's just say like this brand is integrated somehow into a video and then it gets pushed to millions of people. So really, really interesting. If you haven't seen that, I encourage anybody watching to type in YouTube Shorts. It shows up on mobile and just kind of explore through there. It's really interesting stuff.
And then I would also echo both Lindsey and Sam.
Do you think since that's
is a lot bigger than it has been in the past, and like Instagram is prioritizing Reels and IGTV over photos right now. So from a brand side, you'll also see brands optimizing on that as well. And then additionally within this space, I think what's important to note about trends is that it's mainly driven through influencers, at least for big brands, which is where all of my experience has been. They need to see viability within these new platforms such as TikTok and Clubhouse and things that you're seeing now with influencers before they create their own account. And I just see this specifically like with TikTok, how it started in terms of influencers. A lot of them were partnering with brands before the brands even made TikTok accounts. So you saw that with NFL players. First were the ones with TikTok accounts promoting things, and then it came to the NFL and NFL teams and seeing how proving that this platform is on the up and coming is where it's at. So I don't think you'll see a lot of the trends come from brands, just because from a big business perspective, you have to justify spend and budget and really commit to making sure that that specific avenue is something you want to invest in. So it's more so catching on from other influencers and seeing where they're optimizing, such as Guides was released on Instagram as well, which essentially allows influencers to create like shoppable pages within Instagram, which is something that they're the first to do in terms of all other social platforms.
Lindsey, did you have another thing you wanted to add?
No, I was going to ask Sam if he thought for smaller companies, if they started creating some of these YouTube shorts, if they could maybe, you know, get their foot in the arena, if they were creative and created some good videos there.
Yes, absolutely. You know, if you have your own company, it's really important to look into what's next. You know, like if TikTok is huge, I mean, it was really big 2 years ago, and now it's almost saturated with brand deals. But, you know, new platforms like YouTube Shorts coming up, I would jump on it as soon as you can and just experiment, see what you can do. You never know what can take off. Even if you make 5 videos and 3 days later, one just goes through the roof. So really, really interesting stuff.
Do you have any tips tips for me or people listening on helping yourself go viral without a celebrity or a big jumping off a cliff?
I would say to spend time on the platform that you want to go viral on. It's really hard to say like, here's how to make a viral video. But if you spend enough time on something like TikTok or on YouTube and you're seeing like what shorts are taking off, you can kind of get an idea in your head and just get that sense of what's going to work and what's not. I think that the biggest sin that you can commit is creating something that just feels really, really branded and unorganic. So the more organic that you can create a piece of content, especially coming from a brand, the better that it's going to do, the more well received it's going to be by audiences, because audiences are really smart and they can tell the moment that it's not a creator and that it's a brand. And if you can connect with those people, you'll get organic reach because they will share it themselves.
Perfect. I've got one more question, and I know we've had a lot of questions being submitted. So I guess the last one that we have prepared is, and maybe we'll just do, if each of you could just spend 1 to 2 minutes on this. What do you feel the future of influencer marketing? I mean, is it staying around? Is this a phase we're going through? What are we going to be seeing, or what do you fathom coming up ahead? So we'll start with Fallon, and then we'll go to Lindsey, and then Sam.
I personally do not think influencer is going anywhere. I think it is only going to get bigger. And I think a lot of people were unsure of the whole channel when it first kind of started in like 2010, 2015, just because they didn't know if it was something that was going to last, and it has proven to last thus far. And I think moving towards the future, the capabilities from a brand perspective and what's important there is the tracking and the metrics associated with that. And I think right now, Instagram does a great job of tracking performance, impressions, clicks, things like that. And then also right now, TikTok's capabilities are developing in that sense, where before you had no tracking capabilities aside from seeing views and likes. But from a brand perspective, there's nothing you could do to see if there's click through to websites and things like that. So I think there will just be more development in that space in terms of what a brand can see in terms of performance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with Fallon. And I just think the way we're consuming media has changed so much over the last 5 to 10 years. And so many people are consuming their media through their phones and through social. So it makes a lot of sense for companies to be placing their ads there versus maybe on TV ads, or especially radio. I think it also translates to better sales and tracking those sales, like Fallon said too. So I don't think it's going anywhere.
We're seeing on my side bigger and bigger companies putting bigger and bigger budgets into influencer. You know, I would say that influencer is really, I would almost say, stealing big dollars away from traditional advertising. If you want to make a splash, you can track where your return on investment is coming from on influencer versus running ads on TV. You know, it's always been the age old, like, we're going to put this budget towards TV. I'm not exactly sure how much we're returning on this, but it looks cool and whatever it may be. But with influencer, you can track clicks and views, and you can calculate for organic lift. So influencer is getting huge. And if you're late to the party, you know, it's going to get more and more competitive because the top 10,000 YouTube channels, they have so many people wanting to get in with them for sponsorships that it's going to get more expensive. So I guess another piece of advice would be to find influencers in your niche, if you're a brand, that are kind of on the rise, and get in with them early and make a relationship. If you make a relationship, you can work out rates that don't inflate too badly over time. They can prioritize you. We're working with humans, not with Facebook. You know, it's really important. And then I would say another trend or another piece of the future for influencer marketing would be new platforms coming up. We just talked about YouTube Shorts. You know, that's definitely on the rise. And when a company as big as YouTube is putting a lot of money and time behind this, behind the scenes, that's usually a big red flag for marketing companies, businesses. You know, jump on that stuff early, and you can be a leader in that space. and potentially create a following. So like last year, we did a huge splash for Just Dance 2021 with Ubisoft on TikTok. I think that they got 4 billion plays. It was absolutely insane. And it was only because we worked with the right people, a lot of them, but a lot of them were able to go viral and get organic lifts, like what we've been saying. And it just worked out so incredibly well. And now the Just Dance game is really well known on TikTok itself. So you can get dancers really easily because they're like, I want to be on that, versus you going to somebody and trying to force them to jump on. Like, you get people coming to you. So be an early adopter of new platforms.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so we've got questions coming in. Are you ready? So this one I'm going to gear towards Fallon. This question is from Annie. And she wrote, if you or your company is going to go to the route of influencer marketing or partnerships, what is a budget? Like, if you could just give us, we know it could kind of be a wide range, but what's a budget? Or where does someone start?
It kind of depends. So when I first launched the influencer program at Columbia Sportswear with my internship there, the budget that we set was $30K for the first quarter. So essentially $10K a month. And at Backcountry, our budgets are significantly bigger than that. And it also depends seasonally. We spend our heaviest investments in Q3, Q4 around holiday, like many other brands. It's shopping season. Also, influencers' editorial calendars are getting built up prior to that. So it's really planning in advance. So in terms of budgets, it also depends on what KPIs you're looking for. I would say if you're wanting more micro influencers, if it's more of a local objective, you can get away with smaller budget. But then also if you're wanting a more national or bigger reach, you also have to invest more spend in those bigger influencers that carry their following across the country. And it's very similar to like pricing in terms of how you think of like a football stadium. The closer you are to the front of the field or closer to the middle is you'll pay significantly more, but then you go 10 rows up, there's a price break in how much that would cost. And then you go 20 more rows up in your upper bowl, there's another price break. So it just depends on those level of following with what that budget would look like. And there's range within all of that. But the biggest influencer I've worked with had 1.5 million following, and we had a 10K investment with them on our largest end for a 1 month post. And then other people, it's $500 or just product. So it really just depends on how much they like your brand and how much they want to work with you as well.
So a follow-up question I would have is this following, I guess, under the marketing department? And are you guys looking at that as a percentage of your marketing budget, or is its own thing now? It's kind of taken a life on its own.
Yeah, so we have budget allotted to us each month for the influencer channel specifically because it has grown so much on Backcountry. It equates to around 10% of our demand sales within our performance channels. So there's a lot of revenue coming from the channels. So the company has invested a lot in maintaining a budget for it. And then also we'll work off spin-off budgets. If there's a campaign, for example, on family biking that we're doing in a few months, where our brand team really wants to work with influencers to get imagery, we will secure additional budget from that team in order to ensure that we're getting all the assets that we want and obtaining that business need that they have.
Thank you so much. So interesting. Okay, we have another one from C. Ford, and this was for Sam. And he wrote, or she wrote, right now, it seems like everything is focused on YouTube. Would you say live streaming like Twitch is where marketing is going?
I would say live streaming is really on the up and coming. Countries like China have taken it a step further, and a lot of their sales, like you can get a product like, it's almost like QVC, if you know what that is, where you get live streamers and people that have followings to sit there and talk about products with an audience. You know, it's not interruptive because when you click on those streams, you know what you're getting into. You're already in the shopping mood. So that's really, really interesting and something that we're looking into. And then as far as things like Twitch, I actually work on Twitch every day. and I sponsor streamers with brands like HelloFresh, and I have like 15 brands that we work with, energy drinks and things like that. So it's really, really interesting to work with live streamers because it is live content, and we're seeing a lot of trust being built. You know, if I sponsored somebody 2 weeks ago who got the new world record for a speed run in a really obscure game. So really cool things like that can happen. And then now everybody knows that brand who happened to sponsor the stream because of this new world record, you know? So, and the other cool thing about live content on Twitch is that it can become a VOD and be put on Instagram. It can be put on YouTube and any other platform. So I have a big focus on Twitch right now and other streaming platforms. So it's cool that you're already thinking about that. So absolutely.
Thank you, Simon. Now we have one for Lindsey. Lindsey, how do people or even social media pages grow their followings large enough to be considered for influencing by companies and brands?
Again, I believe it just goes back to consistency as well as having good images or videos on your pages and your platforms. If you're using poor photo quality, things that aren't really catching people's eyes, they're not going to be drawn to them. Also, just whatever you are saying with the photo or in the comments and in the messages, so you can build trust with the people who are following you. So they'll be more likely to follow along, to share, to like, to save your posts. Basically, you need to believe you need to consider yourself an expert in your field and have the confidence to just consistently talk about your product, your brand, and yourself to build up that trust and that following over time. But the biggest thing is consistency. It seems over the top, but posting every day. Posting to your story every day, posting to your page every day. I personally run my business page and my personal page. And I don't necessarily write that content or develop that content on a daily basis. Usually the weekend before or 2 weeks ahead of time, I'm going through and pre-planning what I'm going to be talking about. But if you're trying to get into influence, for one, if you are an entrepreneur trying to start your business, I do think it's better to focus on your messaging, your business, your philosophy. But if you are trying to get in as more of an influencer, think about which niche you want to be influencing for, and you can have your content kind of be on theme. So for example, if you wanted to be a fitness influencer, you could post about a recipe one day, about a workout another day, something with your family another day, because this is going to make you come off as even more relatable and trustworthy. Maybe there's a motivational quote or something like that, where although it's all different, it's still kind of in line with the niche or the industry that you're trying to get into, because that's how you're going to build the trust with that audience and grow your audience. And then now maybe a supplement company who's looking for an influencer, when they're coming and looking at your page, not only are they seeing that you have this many followers, but they also can kind of trust your voice and your angle and trust that you're going to create good imagery. That's my 2 cents.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And so I guess to wrap all this up today, one question, if there were to be a takeaway for each of you, what would you recommend? And I know we have different viewpoints from all 3 of you. What would you recommend if people wanted to explore this as a career, either as an influencer themselves or using influencers to build their brand? So we'll start with Lindsey, and then we'll go to Sam and Fallon.
So I apologize. My Wi-Fi is acting up. I'm hoping you all have been able to hear everything I'm saying. I think I heard your question. Basically, just wrap up. Could you repeat it to me one more time?
Yeah,
Actually,
no
I'm sorry.
problem, Lindsey. It happens. Technology, right? If you could just leave one recommendation on how people can explore this as a career from your angle.
Okay. From my angle, my biggest thing is be yourself. Know your message, know where you're trying to get, know your goals, but don't try too much to be doing what other people are doing, or because it won't come off as like authentic, and also you won't create the right audience following you. So the more you can just be yourself, speak your message, the more the right people are going to follow you. They're going to relate to what you're saying, and then they're just going to be sharing your posts, sharing your messaging, and get more people to come to you also. So anytime you're doing things that don't quite align with your true personality or philosophy, people can sense that, and it's just not going to get as much engagement. So know where you're trying to go and be yourself and learn along the way.
I would say my piece of advice is relationships. If you're looking to get into this as a career on the business side, you're going to want to, you will do better than everybody else if you can make those relationships, whether that be with an influencer or with an agency, and they will come to you. They will help you more if you've got a good relationship. And if you're looking to be an influencer, I would say, like, let's say you've already got a following, and a brand reaches out to you. I would say that I bring more business to people that work with me, and like we can collaborate together. It's not so cut and dry. I want to understand why you work. Why do you have followers? What is your story? And how can we bring that message authentically to your audience? I bring even more business to people who work with me. It's a two-way street. There's a lot to do an influencer. It's a big deal. It's not like just running your traditional ads. So both sides, relationship building and negotiations. But that goes with relationship building. If I've got a relationship, negotiations are easier. But if you're on my side, you have to be able to know your numbers and stick to your guns and figure out a way to be on your numbers, but have a little flexibility and just make sure that you get the right rate for these people and do your research. That's all I got.
And then I would say for me, when I was in school, I often heard marketing as being separated into the brand side or the digital side. And that really didn't resonate with me during my time in college. I wasn't creative enough to be fully brand, and I wasn't digital or data focused enough to be fully in that side of the marketing space. And so what my advice with someone who wants to go into this specific field or channel is that it's truly a hybrid of both being a right brain and left brain, in the sense that from the brand side, you're trying to find talent that speaks to the brand. You understand the messaging, who your target demographic is, and that type of brand marketing. But at the same time, on the digital side, you're able to see trends, talk about the analytics, making sure everything's tracking, and seeing what levers you can push and pull there within your channel. So really focusing on developing both those skills within marketing rather than focusing on one singular route.
Oh, that's so great. Thank you guys so much. Okay, I think we got two more that snuck in real quick that they wanted me to ask. And so we'll do these really quickly. And then just for all of our viewers, if there are more questions that you want to ask, you can head over to Instagram and we'll get those questions to all of our panelists and they'll answer them later on today. So the one question that came in says, I have my own small business. What steps can I make to take the advantage of social media for advertising and influencer marketing? Someone want to take that?
Lindsey, I think that you should talk on that first.
Well, I feel like I've shared most of the things that I have to say on that. I just say consistency. I mean, consistency of quality of the content you're putting out there. I think sometimes, depending on what the business is, something that's been helpful for me is creating educational content that people who are interested in my industry may be willing to share or want to share with their audience. So I will often do hire a photographer and do just basic photo shoots, or I'll buy stock images from like Shutterstock, or unpaid stock images from like Upsplash. Or Unsplash, I can't remember which it is, but creating really good visuals, information that is helpful, doing it really consistently, and then inviting people to buy or to purchase. For me, the biggest thing has just been quality and consistency over time.
Go ahead, Sam.
I'll add to that. If you're just starting out with a business and you think that you want to put some dollars into influencer marketing, I would talk to some people in your space that are smaller, like with not massive followings, and just say like, hey, I think that what you do is awesome. We're looking to start sponsoring people, and then just start a conversation, because you can learn a lot from people. And a lot of brands do not speak to influencers like that. People get excited when they have their opinions heard, and then you can create a really good two-way street with that influencer, and then use that knowledge to go to other people and say like, hey, we've sponsored this person and we also think that you're great. Here's some things that like worked really well over there. What do you think? And, you know, always having that open ear and talking to the influencer rather than just a like cold, hard email saying like, I'm going to sponsor you. Here are the requirements, you know, especially for small businesses and getting into the space.
And I would add also, we have done, so within our community, the people who are already utilizing our products, similar to what Sam said, we will just give them months for free. We'll give them things in exchange for them consistently posting about us as well. So people who are already invested, they know what we're doing, they know what our message is. And instead of us having to spend $10,000 on a big account, which we do not have, we maybe have 20 people who we're just giving them a product that's $30 and giving it to them for free. So we're not making that money, but we're not paying out a big budget either. And now we have 20 or 30 people who are out there sending out our message and talking about our product as well. So trades or giving product can be a great avenue if you don't have a big budget too.
I would also say organic cross promotion. The amount of times that big brands regram or reshare stories of smaller people who are showcasing them wearing their apparel or using their gear is very significant. And so utilizing that with other brands that you can pair together organically. For example, if you're a beauty brand, but you also wear this specific brand of clothing in a shirt, tag that brand in your stories, and perhaps they'll regram to get that organic lift from them. So seeing where you can be creative in that sense.
Okay, and I think we have time. We keep getting questions coming in, so I'm going to sneak one more in because I don't know if we talked about this, and we just have a few minutes. And I'll start maybe with Fallon and then Sam. What are the risks to brands when they partner with influencers? Like we would talk about all the amazing things, but what if like something goes south? What are the risks that maybe we haven't talked about?
So we've had instances where things have happened with our influencers. And what's difficult about influencer marketing is that you can control the post that you have sponsored, but you can't control that person and what they're doing outside of your individualized content. So if they do something, a post with us where we preview their product selects, their captions, their imagery, and everything's aligned with our brand requirements, it's all great until the next week. Perhaps they decided to partner with a different, for example, someone was partnering with a beer company, which is totally fine. And they've opted to do that on their site. But people were messaging our brand and saying, why would you partner with someone who's also doing partnerships with this beer company? But that's not something that we have any control over. So it's really hard to, and of course you're trying to vet these influencers to make sure they're brand aligned, but there's always going to be haters that think this person isn't following what they think would be a great brand fit. So that's a risk with any influencer. So it's making sure historically that you haven't seen any PR scandals with them, hopefully, and that all of their organic content matches what their sponsored content would be.
And Liana, did you say risks in general, or what was
what are the risks for brands that are partnering with an influencer?
Okay. I mean, yeah, Fallon hit on the major risks, and that is making sure you do a safety check beforehand. It's really hard when you have a large scale campaign, but it pays off in dividends because we've had, I've had my fair share of people we've had to even blacklist for things that they say online that just, we can't sponsor or put brand money behind and have a company represent that. So you can't do much about it if it happens after the fact. You can go back and pull the content, but you can be vigilant before it goes live, like Fallon was saying. So I would say another risk would just be the content not being received well. So if you partner with somebody and it just totally misses the mark, not only is it like not going to perform well, but like you could, if you do a bad enough job, it could actually spark the opposite side where people start to say like, wow, I can't believe that like so-and-so did this with this brand, you know? So you really need to make sure that you do your research on the people that you partner with and like a historical check on them, and make sure that you edit the content live to fit the audience, you know? So, but I mean, I do this every day, and this is stuff that I mitigate all the time. It's rarely ever an issue, and it's only if something happens after the fact, and it's never blown up in our faces before.
So when I run into something, I'm going to call you Sam. Yeah. Well, you guys are so wonderful. Thank you so much, Fallon, Sam, Lindsey, and for everyone that's been watching. I think this has been a really good conversation to have. So I'm going to throw it back to you and to Lencha. And just as a reminder, if you have any more questions or comments, specifically, just go head over to Instagram at Eccles Alumni and submit them there, and we'll try and address those later on. But thank you so much for joining us today. Lencha?
Thank you all so much for joining us today. We hope you had a wonderful experience and enjoyed the discussion. We learned so much about influencer marketing from all the different perspectives. We recently started an alumni podcast, so we would love for you to tune into that to hear more stories from the Eccles community. You can find that wherever you enjoy podcasts at the Eccles Business Buzz. All episodes of season 1 are live now, so be sure to tune in to catch that. We are just so appreciative of you all continuing to join us for these virtual events. We can't wait to be back in person with you all soon, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. As always, go Utes!